Hi, this is Rose with Arkansas Herbal Studies, and for our March discussion, we are talking about seasonal allergies and herbal allies. What, why, and when? Well, our immune systems get hypersensitized to something that our bodies perceive as a threat, which these things we call antigens. They're often pollen or different allergens in the environment, like dust or mites. And the body makes antibodies. It makes a little marker that knows how to detect when those antigens, those allergens are around. And those antibodies are on our mast cells. And when those antibodies come in contact with an allergen, they release histamine, and the histamine sets a reaction into place, the immune reaction, which involves all the inflammation, the runny eyes, the redness, the mucus production. So some of the contributing factors are genetics. If people in your family have allergies, you're likely to. Can't do too much about that, right? Hygiene hypothesis, if you can think about that, it's basically that if we live in more sterile environments, our body's constantly looking for something to fight because it's used to doing that. Our bodies are made to fight off things, and so it'll find things that are actually not dangerous to us, but it will perceive them as threats, and then we'll have an allergy to that thing. So people that grew up on farms or that come from large families with lots of siblings, they generally tend to not have seasonal allergies like other people do, like some other people might. So gut integrity is another thing. If you're having a leaky gut, if you're having some lack of integrity in your digestive system, then you might be more prone to seasonal allergies. So if we look at our diet as well, if we're eating a lot of sugar and a lot of mucus producing foods, then we might be more prone to seasonal allergies. If we have food allergies, there's studies that have shown that if you have food allergies, you're more likely to have seasonal allergies. So if you want to get into a deeper healing space, then you want to check those things out. Also, stress can cause more of a reaction, a seasonal allergies reaction. And then environmentally, there are a lot of factors that can come into play, such as is someone spraying chemicals near you? Do you have a lot of pollutants in the air? These things can affect our systems and make it so that we're more likely to have seasonal allergies. So seasonally in the spring here in Arkansas, we have tree pollen. In the summer, we have grass pollen. In the fall, we have ragweed pollen. And all of this is getting worse due to climate change because climate change is lengthening those seasons. So most of the year, besides winter, there is something out there that could cause seasonal allergies, could cause allergic rhinitis. So when we look at herbs, we want to consider what herbal actions they have to know how they're going to affect our body, so we're not just like picking random herbs to help us that might be good for allergies, but ones that will help with the symptoms that we have. So anti-allergenic, that's kind of appropriate for everyone, right? Anti-catarrhal, this is going to support the body to dissolve, remove, and prevent excess mucus production. Mucolytic, lytic means break down, so break down that mucus, help thin the mucus so we can get it out. Decongestant is to relieve nasal congestion and inflammation. Mucosal tonics help support that mucus membrane and help it be toned and healthy. It's taken quite a hit with seasonal allergies. Anti-inflammatory, because our immune response is an inflammatory response and it's an unneeded one, so we're trying to calm that inflammation. Lymphatic, help drain the fluid and move all that excess of liquid that kind of builds up in the body during that time. Circulatory tonic is just going to support that vasculature that is also like getting inflamed and having a response to this allergen due to the histamine release. And alteratives that help our liver and our other systems of elimination process things and move them out of the body. So I'm going to talk about just a few herbs that are common or easy to grow here and to make medicine for yourself. And nettles, Urtica dioica, is a great anti-allergenic herb. You want to make a tincture of the fresh plant before it's in flower or seed form. Here we have a past prime form in this picture, but before that you cut the leaves and stems, the young leaves and stems, chop it up, put it in a jar, cover it in alcohol. You want to pack it in there. Ideally, you have a 1-to-2 ratio, but you can also do folk method. And so fresh plant, cover it with alcohol, or you can do a sedum, cover it in apple cider vinegar, and that can be effective as well. It's also an astringent herb, so it's going to dry up and kind of tone those mucous membranes. Then we have elderflower. A lot of us know about elderberry, but the flower is actually a really wonderful herb. I always dry it before use for teas and for tinctures, though I use it for food and for making fun beverages fresh. As long as it's cooked or fermented, it's good fresh. But it's a nice anti-catarrh herb. It's a wonderful tea. It's delicious and wonderful, really nice to have in a tea blend for seasonal allergies, and easy to wildcraft here. Bidens species, these are ones that maybe you're less familiar with, but beggar's ticks or Spanish needles are two different Bidens species that are really common here in Arkansas, and both can be used as mucosal tonics. So these are herbs that are going to help tone the mucous membranes. It's all the lining of your mouth and around your eyes and in your nose, and it's going to help tone that and cut back on mucus secretions, kind of help dry things up and tone that mucous membrane. We really need a mucosal membrane tonic if you're having a lot of weepy mucous membrane issues. And these are difficult to ID for a beginner for sure. So, but they are common and widespread. The leaves I find very distinct, but you need to get to know them very well. You don't want to harvest them unless you know them well. They are in the Asteraceae family, which is a family that people have some allergies to, so you might want to go slow if you have an allergy to, say, chamomile. You might want to go gentle with this and try it a very little bit of it to see if the plant will actually cause you an allergy. So these are, you might be aware of these plants because of the seed heads, the seeds they make, which have these little spines on them with little stickers on them that really attach to you. You can go walking through a patch of these and they'll just be sticking out all over your clothes. Goldenrod is a lovely herb to include as a tea or a tincture. Oh, same with Bidens, tea or tincture. I usually do fresh plant of Bidens, and with goldenrod, fresh plant, usually 2 of tincture, the flower head, and some leaf. Though you can just use the leaves or earlier on before the flowers bloom, but kind of not the stem in the goldenrod. It's a hard, firm stem. But that, again, you chop up, put in a jar, 1-to-2, 95% alcohol. Could be one way of doing it, or you can use apple cider vinegar, or you can dry it and then tincture it or use it in a tea. You want to harvest goldenrod when the flowers are just still in bud form, because it will continue to mature and it'll just turn into poofy seeds and pappus when it dries if it's too far along. So that Solidago species, most of these species are interchangeable. Some are less common than others, so it would be good to harvest the ones that are common. And they are, some people consider them an anti-allergenic, but they're definitely anti-catarrhal. They definitely help thin mucus too and help move mucus out. And they are an excellent source of antioxidants as well, so they're anti-inflammatory. Really lovely plant to include in an allergy tea or allergy relief tea. Also a great one for cat allergies. Try this herb out for cat allergies. Then another plant is one that causes allergies. So ragweed, this is Ambrosia artemisifolia, and this is it before it flowers. So this is what causes allergies in this plant is the pollen. So before it flowers, this plant does not cause most people allergies. And this is when I harvest it and I make a tincture of it. Fresh plant, tinctured, or dried plant as a tea. It's a bitter plant that's drying and helps dry up and clear mucus, and can just be a nice addition to a seasonal allergies blend. So I usually just use it as a tincture or dried as a tea, and it's a little bitter, It's a very interesting flavor. It's quite good, really, and most people are a little scared, though, to use it because if they have allergies, they don't want anything to do with it, but it's the pollen that's wind pollinated that causes allergies and not the plant itself. But still, anytime something's new that you're going to have, you're taking in your body, you want to take it very little at a time, right? And a few drops at first, or a little sip of tea, maybe. You could even just rub it on your skin at first. And then we have mint family plants. So I just have thyme and sage pictured, but peppermint, rosemary, these are all decongestants, right? They help through the volatile oils. They're going to help move things out of the sinus cavities, kind of clear things and move things. So just any kind of mint family plant can be a great one if you're sick or if you have any kind of allergies to help thin and move out the mucus and decongest the nasal passages so you can breathe easily. And they also have an anti-inflammatory effect. So these are all really great. Some of them are more astringent, like sage and rosemary can help dry up your tissues as well. You can breathe in breathe in when you make a tea, breathe in that steam that comes up and you'll get a lot of volatile oils coming up into your nose. You can just sip on a tea. A warm tea, a hot tea is very nice to have. And then some other herbs to consider that are around or that you can buy are yarrow, which is a circulatory tonic, so it can help support the vasculature. It also is a decongestant. It's also antimicrobial, which you generally don't need to worry about with seasonal allergies, but it just can be a really nice clearing, moving herb and supportive and healing as well. So yarrow is great, and that's kind of one of our earlier flowers to harvest. You harvest flower and the whole flowering stalk you can harvest, or just the flowering tops. The leaves are useful as well as the flowering tops. Peach is in flower right now, and a lot of people like peach for its soothing, cooling properties, and so some people find it quite useful for allergies and for bites and stings of little critters. So you make a tincture, fresh plant tincture, 1 to 2, 95% of the bark, the twigs, the bark, the little leaves, the new leaves, the flowers right now, or later on you can make a tincture of the leaves. And then we have chamomile, which is an anti-inflammatory, antispasmodic. And, some people are allergic to chamomile, so you wouldn't want to take chamomile for allergies if you're allergic to it, but it can be a nice anti-inflammatory addition to a tea blend to help kind of calm down that inflammatory process. And burdock helps stabilize those mast cells. So the mast cells that are releasing histamine, it can help stabilize them so they don't release as much histamine. And this is the root that you use, and it makes a really delicious tea. You decoct it, you simmer it in water for 5-10 minutes, and it's a really tasty tea. I don't find it bitter at all. People call it a bitter, but it's sweet to me. Combined with dandelion, it's really nice as well. Those are both alterative herbs that help your liver process different metabolite leftovers, right? So anything when your body breaks things down, these herbs are going to help that body break it down. It's also going to help the body eliminate the leftovers from breaking down those things. So histamine has to be broken down in your liver, and burdock can help assist that. And burdock's really tasty. So there's lots of other herbs to consider for seasonal allergies, but these are some and just some things to think about when you're picking out some herbs and using them. And I always love to do a combination of things, but it can be nice to try one thing like peach herb to try on its own to see if it would help with someone's allergies. And you're going to use small doses for that, and it should be effective in very small doses. And burdock, it's like food, and you can drink it. It also can help with gut health. So you can just look and see how complicated all these herbs are and kind of play around with them and see. The great part about a lot of these is that they are accessible, we can cultivate them here in Arkansas, or they grow wild.